My wife declared, "I need to find myself. Moving in with my life coach." I replied, "Safe travels." Then I discovered her life coach was actually married, so I mailed his wife a welcome basket with all their romantic texts printed out. 2 days later, my wife was homeless and her guru was getting divorced. I, 38 male, am a creature of habit. I like my coffee black, my lawn cut on Saturdays, and my life predictable. My wife, Nicole, 36, used to be the same. We had a good life, not a movie-style romance, but comfortable, a quiet understanding built over 12 years. Then, about 6 months ago, she discovered Justin Vance. Justin isn't a therapist, he's a life architect. His website is full of stock photos of sunsets and vague promises about unlocking your authentic self. It costs a fortune, of course. First, it was weekly Zoom calls. Then it was weekend retreats. I paid for it all, figuring it was a phase, cheaper than a midlife crisis convertible. I was wrong. It was the midlife crisis. Last Tuesday, over a dinner I'd cooked, Nicole put her fork down with a sigh that seemed rehearsed. "Benjamin," she said, her eyes glistening with manufactured sincerity, "I can't do this anymore. I'm not living my truth." I just looked at her, my own dinner suddenly tasting like ash. "Okay, and what is your truth, Nicole?" It's something I need to discover. On my own." Justin says, "I've been living in your shadow, that my potential is being stifled by this domesticity." I nodded slowly, the buzzwords hitting me like tiny, annoying darts. Stifled, domesticity, potential. It sounded like a brochure. "I see," I said. "So what's the plan?" She took a deep breath, like she was about to jump off a cliff. "I'm moving out. I need to find myself. Justin has a guest suite, and he's invited me to stay there. It will be an immersive experience, to fully deconstruct the old me and build the new." I stared at her, and in that moment, I felt nothing and everything all at once. There was no screaming match in my head. No pleading, just a quiet, cold click as a final door shut. I had watched her drift away for months, watched her parrot this man's empty philosophies. This wasn't a surprise, it was a destination. "Okay," I said. Nicole blinked, thrown off. She was prepared for a fight, for tears, for me to beg. My compliance was not in her script. "Okay? That's it?" she asked, a flicker of irritation in her voice. "I'm not going to hold you captive," I replied, taking a sip of water. "If you need to leave, then you need to leave. Safe travels." She left the next day, packed 3 oversized suitcases full of clothes I'd bought her. As she was leaving, she paused at the door. "I'll call you when I'm settled. We can figure out the stuff." I just nodded. "Take care of yourself, Nicole." She walked out, leaving a void in the house that, honestly, felt more peaceful than her presence had in months. But peace doesn't last. That night, I started doing some practical cleanup. I canceled the alert on my credit card for a high-end department store she frequented. While doing so, I saw a recurring charge I didn't recognize: the Artisan Bean Club, a gourmet coffee subscription. We drink instant. Curious, I logged into the account. The password was, predictably, Justin Vance, 2024. The subscription was for a bi-weekly delivery of single-origin pour-over coffee. The delivery address wasn't a commercial building. It was a large, single-family home in a very nice suburban neighborhood. A quick search of public property records for that address gave me 2 names: Justin Vance and Catherine Vance, his wife. A sick, hot feeling washed over me. It wasn't calm clarity. It was the physical sensation of betrayal. For a moment, I had to sit down. My heart was pounding. This was real. Then, I remembered the old iPad we kept in the study. We'd bought it years ago, and Nicole used it for a while before getting a new one. She never bothered to wipe it. I turned it on, connected it to the Wi-Fi, and my stomach dropped. The little blue iMessage icon had a red notification bubble with a number so high I couldn't count the messages. They were all there, synced from her phone. A complete, unabridged history of their karmic connection. I didn't just screenshot them. I sat there for what felt like hours and read the promises, the inside jokes, the plans for their future, the critiques of me, my job, my life. It was a meticulous demolition of our marriage. When the anger and hurt subsided, something else took its place, a cold, methodical focus. I printed every single page at my office the next morning, 37 pages of high-resolution color. I went to a store that specializes in gift baskets. I picked out a very nice wicker one. Inside, I placed a bottle of expensive champagne, 2 crystal flutes, a box of gourmet chocolates, and a small, scented candle that smelled like new beginnings. Tucked underneath the champagne, I placed a crisp, white envelope. Inside were the printed text messages, neatly stapled. On the gift tag, I wrote in my best cursive, "Catherine, welcome to the immersive experience. I thought you might want to see the curriculum. Cheers, Benjamin." I paid for a courier to deliver it that afternoon. Signature required. It's been about 12 hours now. I haven't slept. I'm just drinking my black coffee and waiting for the other shoe to drop. Update 1. The silence broke not with a shriek, but with a choked, panicky phone call. It came yesterday afternoon while I was trying to focus on work. It was Nicole. "Benjamin, you have to help me," she said, her voice strained. She was trying to sound calm, but the panic was bleeding through. I could hear the generic chatter of a coffee shop in the background. "What's the problem?" I asked, keeping my voice level. "Catherine, she knows. She got some kind of package. She confronted Justin last night. I've never seen anyone so cold. She didn't yell. She just told him to get out of her sight." "That sounds like an issue for Justin," I said. "It's an issue for me," she snapped, her composure cracking. I was in the guest suite, packing a few things, and a woman I've never seen before knocked on the door. She said she was Catherine's lawyer. She told me I was trespassing on private property and that I had 1 hour to remove my belongings before they would be disposed of. Benjamin, she had a police officer with her. So, not a lawn full of clothes, something much colder and more efficient. I almost had to respect it. "That sounds stressful," I said, repeating my line from a hypothetical conversation I'd had in my head. "Don't you dare. You did this. Justin said you must have sent it. It was vindictive and cruel." "Nicole, let me be very clear," I said, my own patience wearing thin. "You chose to move in with a married man without telling me the full situation. I simply provided his wife with the information you chose to withhold. That's not cruelty, it's clarity. Your choices led you to that guest suite. Her choices led her to call a lawyer. My only choice was to stop being a fool." "But I have nowhere to go," she cried, the entitlement finally boiling over. "My clothes are in my car. I can't afford a hotel for more than a night or two. I spent my savings on Justin's programs. You have to let me come home, Benjamin, just for a little while." The audacity was staggering. "No," I said. "What do you mean, no? It's my house too." "You surrendered your claim to this being your home when you packed your bags to live with another man," I stated. "And just for your information, I had the locks changed yesterday, for security." The sound she made was a mix of a gasp and a sob. She unleashed a string of insults before hanging up. The next morning, an email from an unknown address. It was Justin. Stripped of its guru-like cadence, his writing was just a panicked mess of typos and desperation. "Benjamin, you don't understand what you've done. This is a misunderstanding. Catherine is filing for divorce. She's trying to freeze my assets, my business accounts. This is my livelihood. You have to talk to her. Tell her you were mistaken, that you misinterpreted things. It was coaching, an exercise. I'll pay you. I'm serious. Whatever you want, you are ruining my life." He thinks he can buy my integrity after his was proven to be worthless. I saved the email and the original voicemail he left later that day. My lawyer will love them. Nicole has been burning up my phone, alternating between begging and threats. She's staying with a friend who is clearly getting tired of her. She demanded I transfer her $5,000 for emotional distress and relocation costs. I replied with a screenshot of the credit card statement showing the thousands I'd spent on her life architect. She just sent back a single text: "You will regret this." The peace and quiet is gone, replaced by the low hum of incoming fire. But I'm ready for it. Update 2. The last 2 weeks have been an education in weaponized entitlement. Regret for Nicole, it seems, means trying to dismantle my life. It's been ugly, and I have to admit, deeply unsettling. She made good on her threat. The social media smear campaign began. Long, rambling posts about being a victim of coercive control and financial abuse. She painted a picture of me as a soulless automaton who crushed her spirit. She was careful not to mention Justin's name or his marital status, of course. To an outsider, it looked bad. A few of our mutual friends sent me concerned messages. My own sister called to ask if I was okay. My first instinct was to fight back, to post the texts, to expose her publicly. but I forced myself to stop. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Samantha, advised against it. Let her scream into the void, Benjamin. We'll respond with facts in court. It's the only venue that matters. So I went silent. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done, knowing what was being said and not defending myself. It felt like I was letting her win. Instead, Samantha drafted and filed the divorce papers on grounds of adultery. We sent them to Nicole's new temporary address. The day she received the papers, the dirty tricks escalated. She tried to use our dog, Buster, as a pawn. She texted me saying she was coming to get him, that he was her emotional support animal. This was the only time I truly felt a surge of pure rage. I had to walk around the block 3 times before I could reply. Buster is chipped in my name, I pay for all his bills, and you haven't walked him in a year. You are not welcome on this property. If you try, I will call the police and show them your previous threatening text. She actually showed up. I saw her car on my doorbell camera. She just sat out there for 10 minutes. My heart was in my throat. I sat on the floor with Buster, my hands buried in his fur, just trying to breathe. That was my most vulnerable moment. She finally drove off. Then came Justin's move. He sent a cease and desist from his lawyer, accusing me of harassment and tortious interference. Samantha laughed. It's a scare tactic from a man who is drowning. But the move that truly hurt came from my mother-in-law, Pamela. She called me, her voice thick with disappointment. Benjamin, Nicole is in a terrible state. She told me how you just shut down and threw her out. Pamela, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. You don't have the full story. She made a mistake. This man took advantage of her. She's your wife. You have a duty to help her, not abandon her. She said you won't even give her enough money to eat. My duty to her ended when I read her plans to build a future with another man. I have supported her for 12 years. I funded the very affair that ended our marriage. I will not be funding her life after it. I never thought you could be so cold, she said, and hung up. That one stung. It made me doubt myself for a whole evening. Am I a monster? But then I thought about the texts, the casual cruelty in them, the disrespect. My resolve hardened. They see me as the villain because I refused to continue playing the part of the fool. So I decided it was time to stop just reacting. I found a few online forums for people who had been scammed by self-help gurus. I wrote a long, detailed, and anonymous post about the Vance life architecture methodology. I didn't use names, but I described his specific manipulative techniques, his fee structures, and the way he fosters dependency. I exposed the fraudulent nature of his certifications. I also had Samantha forward the email and voicemail from Justin where he offered me a bribe to Catherine's legal team. Her lawyer's reply was curt. Thank you for this. It has been added to the file for consideration in our client's proceedings. It wasn't a checkmate. It was just moving a few crucial pieces across the board. Now we see how the game plays out. Final update. It's been half a year. The divorce was finalized last month after a drawn-out, ugly battle over assets that cost me far more in legal fees than I ever anticipated. The noise has finally faded, and what's left is a quiet I haven't known for years. It's a quiet I've had to fight for. My revenge wasn't a single perfect explosion. It was a slow, grinding war of attrition, where I simply held up a mirror to Nicole and Justin and let the world see their reflections. The forum post didn't go massively viral, but it gained traction in the right circles. A small online magazine that covers wellness scams picked it up. A few other former clients of Justin's came forward, validating my anonymous account. His business didn't implode overnight. It withered. His reputation became toxic. I heard he tried to rebrand as a masculinity coach, but the podcast he launched got 3 episodes in before fading into obscurity. The bribe attempt, I learned through the legal discovery process, was devastating for him in his divorce. Catherine got the house and a majority of their liquid assets. She moved on, a quiet and formidable victor. Nicole's trajectory was a masterclass in refusing to accept reality. She fought the divorce settlement tooth and nail. Her lawyer, likely working on contingency, tried to argue for lifetime alimony based on her emotional distress and damage potential. It dragged things out for months. We settled out of court. She got what she was legally entitled to from our shared assets, which, after her own legal fees were deducted, was a fraction of what she expected. There was no windfall. I saw her once about a month ago in the parking lot of a hardware store. She was getting into a beat-up sedan. She looked stressed, arguing on her phone. She didn't have the authentic glow from Justin's brochures. She just looked like a normal person having a bad day. Our eyes met for a split second. There was no sadness in her gaze, just a flash of pure, undiluted resentment. Then she got in her car and drove away. Last I heard, she's working in customer service and sharing an apartment with a roommate. The domesticity she despised is her reality now, just without any of the comfort or security she blew up. 2 weeks ago, I got a final email from her. It was a long, rambling tirade, blaming me for her debt, for her dead-end job, for her unhappiness. It ended with, "I hope you're happy now that you've destroyed everything." It was the last gasp of her entitlement, the unshakable belief that her life was my responsibility. I stared at the message for a long time. The old me, the man from a year ago, would have felt a pang of guilt. But I am not that man anymore. I've been through a war. I thought about all the things I could say. I could have been cruel. I could have been smug. I could have listed all the ways my life was better. Instead, I just typed 2 words back, "I am." Then I created a filter to send all future emails from her directly to the trash. Life is quiet, but it's a recovering quiet. There are scars. The legal battle drained a significant portion of my savings. A few old friendships never recovered from her smear campaign. But the house is mine. I've started woodworking in the garage. It's methodical, it requires patience, and you can't cheat the process. You have to build on a solid foundation. It's a lesson I had to learn the hard way.